think there's a lot of discrepancy out there about how much to take, how much are you supposed to feel it, how much is too much. I like to think of things in terms of microdose and macrodose. A microdose really should be 1/10 of a gram at most. I don't care who you are. If you're taking more than that, more likely than not, you're probably feeling it. And even with 1/10 of a gram, you can sometimes feel it. There's a reason for this. You know, all mushrooms are not created equally. They're not all the same. There's many different strains, there's many different species that contain psilocybin. And at the same time, in each batch of mushrooms that is grown, there's a little bit of a variation between each individual mushroom. Some could be a little stronger, some could be a little weaker. There's also your diet and your activity to take into consideration. So all of those factors included, that will determine how much or how little you feel the dose. I would consider a macro dose to be anything 2/10 of a gram and up, but a microdose should be relatively light feeling or you don't feel it at all. Essentially, for me, when I do this, I've been doing this for 12 years medicinally, and I'm on it right now. I feel a slight increase in my perceptive awareness. I feel a difference in the amount of saturation that I see in all the colors around me. Just a slight difference. I also feel more connected, relaxed, generally more happy to be myself. And that's because when you take a dose of any psychedelic, it turns off that portion of the brain that controls your ego, controls your sense of I am, that sense that keeps you a little separate from everything else. So when that's shut off, the rest of your brain, the rest of your mind, works in synergy much more easily. So really, the amount that you take for a microdose should be sub-perceptual for the most part. You might feel a little bit of elevated mood, and really, I would say to anybody who's curious about trying a microdose, do so with caution and do so under the guidance of somebody who's done it a lot. Because no matter how small the dose, some of you may be very, very sensitive, and 1/10 of a gram may even be too much. You might be, my partner, sometimes she takes that and she feels like she's having a full-blown experience. So that's something to take into consideration. And also, anytime we're taking a psychedelic substance, whatever has been percolating underneath the surface, underneath your conscious awareness, is going to raise up just a little bit more into your conscious awareness. So if I'm having a bad day, or if I'm having a very emotional day or a period in my life, I know that if I take a microdose, it's probably going to elevate those feelings and elevate whatever is going on with me. That being said, I think it's relatively safe to take a microdose for most people, unless of course you have a mental illness, which I would highly recommend you don't take a microdose, because the veil between normal waking consciousness and an altered state, an elevated state, is already pretty thin. Some people spontaneously have psychotic episodes for no reason at all. So if you take a psychedelic, that can definitely stimulate that process or initiate that for you. So to sum up, a microdose of psilocybin should realistically be no more than 1/10 of a gram. It should be mostly sub-perceptual, except for some increased visual acuity and color saturation. It should help you to get out of your ego mind and more into the present moment. It can have a stimulating effect on your creativity, your outlook on life, your enjoyment of life, and most importantly, your ability to stay present and be yourself. It is not a cure-all. It is not a remedy for anxiety, depression. It might help some of those things, but you got to do the work too. It's going to bring up whatever's underneath the surface. And if you don't look at it and integrate it, you're going to remain anxious and depressed. And probably more beneficial for those things would be a supervised heroic dose. Anyways, make more videos like this in the future. Please like this video, leave a comment. If you're interested in hearing more content like this, interested in learning more about psychedelics in general and their effects. Catch you in the next one.